Hi everyone, and welcome to the MIA podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Shane Bautista from Impact Candles. And so I guess I know Shane primarily through my business partner, Bernard. Shane is lucky enough to win, I think it was the BX Business Awards. And you're also a member of, highly regarded member of Business Blueprint, for those of you who know Business Blueprint out there as well. And you've got some accolades as well. So welcome, Shane. Welcome on board.
Well, thanks for having me, John. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast.
Absolute pleasure. And look, I think one of the things that I find exciting about having yourself on board, Shane, is that you have run businesses in the past, which is exciting. And you've now shifted into the manufacturing space. I think when we had a chat a bit earlier, there was this whole thing of not necessarily feeling like you were what we would probably call a traditional manufacturer, but under the banner of manufacturing, then you are considered manufacturing, which is probably why I love manufacturing as well, because it is so varied. But before we get too far into that story, I'd love to just let you do a little bit of an introduction about yourself and your business, what your business is about.
Sure. Well, I'm Shane Bautista, founder and director of award-winning business Impact Candles. Our mission is to change people's lives through providing beautiful smelling wood-wick candles into their homes, as well as giving back to people in need. So we aligned ourselves with a couple of charities. One is Destiny Rescue. So every dollar we sell from the candle, we give to Destiny Rescue to help fund raids for saving children from sex trafficking and sex exploitation. My choice is the Philippines because my heritage is half Filipino and English, and I was born in Australia. And we also give to B1G1 as well, so through our other business activities. So if you like a post or if a corporate client pays on time, then we give a percentage to the global sustainability goals projects, so like providing fresh water, food and medical treatments to people around the world.
I love that backstory. Primarily, I love that whole concept of giving back. I think a lot of businesses these days are definitely, I think, just organically moving into that whole space of giving back, and it's without getting too much into this subject, I guess traditionally back in the old days, business was primarily about money. But money only goes so far. So much of a driver. But I think if we have a bigger cause to get us up in the morning, for you, I think it's an absolutely amazing cause. When your business grows, you're helping more and more people from a pretty potentially a pretty horrible future. So what an amazing product and an amazing business to have.
Yeah.
So
thanks, John.
Go ahead, go on. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying that what I've learned through Dale and Business Blueprint is that people don't buy the product anymore. It's really the business and their values and actually the person. So yeah, that's the sort of point of difference I'm kind of trying to have throughout the bigger competitors in the candle industry, because it's so saturated.
Yeah, it is. Seems like everywhere you turn, especially during COVID, someone started a new business, and candles probably one of the ones that people probably tap into relatively quickly. Look, if you wouldn't mind, do you want to give just a very quick background into how you got into this business in the first place?
Yeah, well, for the past 20 years, I've been in and out of my own businesses, mainly in personal training and myotherapy. And then I became a nurse as well. But 2020, I started a myotherapy and Reiki clinic with my sister. But throughout all the lockdowns in Melbourne, it didn't survive. The last lockdown made it really difficult. So I decided to pivot and make candles, something I've been doing as a hobby for a few years. And I thought, well, speaking to Dale, he said, why don't you do this as a business? So, because I've sent him a few samples and stuff, and they loved them. So, so through his help in August last year, he helped me with the branding and the look of the packaging and everything. So it's really great to have his support. And then he was my first customer, ordering 1,200 candle tins for the business blueprint members. So then a couple of other businesses from blueprint members have ordered as well. So it's kept me busy. So it's really great being a part of a network like that, especially when you're starting a new business. So
yeah, that's great. And I think Dale Beaumont, he's a very well respected business mentor and coach, and I guess I'm going to put a bit of plug out for him as well, because I've been to a couple of his courses. And if you are in a business where either you've hit a bit of a ceiling, or you're feeling a bit lost in some part of your business, definitely worth reaching out and just inquiring about the programs that they offer, because every single person who I've come into touch with that have done Dale's courses have nothing but absolute praise for him as a person and the quality of work that he produces and his team produces as well. So a lot of experts.
Exactly.
Yeah. So look, I think when we first kicked off the discussion, we were looking at this whole concept of, from your perspective, you would say you're fairly new to manufacturing. Where would you say you sit in terms of the whole spectrum of manufacturing? Where how do you place yourself in the whole manufacturing world in Australia?
Well, I didn't even place myself in any manufacturing world, because when you think of manufacturing, you think of huge industries like Holden making cars with robotics, and or Heinz pumping out all their canned goods. So I didn't even class myself in that spectrum. But as a home candle making business, I am technically manufacturing products. So when you said that you are in the manufacturing space, that sort of changed my outlook on things. And I'm in the lower scale, but I have allowed myself to sort of dream big and plan for the future, for when I'm getting too busy with orders and I have to start looking at employing other candle makers, and even getting a warehouse. So I'm even looking at and planning getting warehouse like in 6 months' time, because I started off in the kitchen and then I overrun the kitchen. And so I live with my sister, so she kicked me out to the garage. But now I'm overrunning the garage. So I'm going to have to start looking into getting a warehouse to continue manufacturing candles, I guess.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's a fantastic problem to have, and I dare say we've got a few people in our network as well. But if you want any advice from people around, how to get into the warehousing part of commercial real estate, would you like some help? I mean, we can put the shout out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Any help I'm open to. So I'm still a baby in this business in manufacturing. So any help would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you specialize in commercial real estate or warehousing in particular, we've got a couple of clients that we can probably help you with as well. I'll put a shout out to Trademark but they specialize in, that sort of transport, warehousing, all that as well. But definitely we can help you out with that, and that's the whole idea of the podcast, for the community, manufacturing community, to really support each other. So there you go. It's hopefully we get a few shout outs on that one. So you've mentioned that eventually, obviously you want to grow, put on staff, and warehousing, that side of the business as well. Where do you see the business going over the next 12, 5, 10 years? Where would you like it to go?
Yeah, I would really love to be up there with the the big players like Glasshouse, Lumiere, Dusk, just to say those types of candle companies, because at the moment they sort of monopolize Google's space and stuff, because they've got the marketing budget to and the brand name to to be up there in the Google searches and the forefront of people's minds. So at the moment I sort of fit into the home candle making space, but I see myself a little bit in between the big players and the home candle makers that have a strong business. So yeah, by increasing my stockists and B2B customers as well as B2C, then I see myself growing into that warehouse and having a handful of candle making staff and support staff, maybe a sales manager. At the moment I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines that acts as my executive assistant, and she's taking on the marketing manager role as well. And over the break I just hired a new VA to be my accounts manager. That's the word I was trying to find. Yeah. To handle all the corporate orders. So her job will be this, liaise with the corporate orders and make sure that they run smoothly through production and to just distribution. So so already I sort of expanded my admin team in the Philippines. But yeah, it'd be good to expand that locally as well.
So I know there's a lot of, we've been using VAs for, in the Philippines for me personally for a number of years. I had a development team in the Philippines as well. What would you say to businesses locally that who have maybe hesitated with getting a VA from overseas, or just hesitated in getting a VA themselves? That whole concept of like, I'll do it myself. What would you say to those people?
Oh, look, I would say stop procrastinating. Go and get a VA, because they take hours out of your time with doing tasks that you shouldn't really be doing yourself, because you got to have a look at your, how much it costs you to do those tasks. So if for basic Word documentation and doing systems in my business, last year my VA, she did all the systems in the business and all the instruction videos and stuff like that, and that would have taken me hours, months even. So with her taking on those tasks, it allowed me to do what I do best, and make candles and make money. So yeah, because a lot of businesses will be bogged down in doing their tasks in the business, but they're not being able to work on their business. They're working in their business, and so you don't grow, you can't expand, because you're sort of in this merry-go-round wheel of working in the business. And I think that's where people get unstuck. So yeah, so I would look at virtual assistants, because they are cheaper to employ than locally, but they are excellent. And if you train them and guide them into how you want them to work, they're excellent. I've been really lucky to find my VA. Her name's Josette. and she's basically manages my life now.
Yeah,
So
they're a bit like that. I
so
know ours, Danielle is our primary one. Exactly the same sort of thing. Like we brought her on board. You know, the big thing for us was, like you said before, that whole concept of training them up right. I know
yeah,
we've had times where, you know, when we have brought someone on board and we just expect them to get up and running straight away, it doesn't necessarily work like that. So you've got to invest a bit of time up front. But you're absolutely right. Like if your time's worth say 100 bucks an hour, and you're doing 20 hours worth of tasks a week that someone else could do, that's effectively $2,000 a week that
yeah,
you're spending that someone else could be doing the job for you. And absolutely right, like you could be working on your business, you could be out there networking, sealing some new deals, whatever it might be.
yeah,
And it just, I know when we brought ours on board, it was a weight lifted off our shoulders, and it just gave us so much capacity to do more. And there's nothing worse than waking up in the morning and just going, oh, you know, here's another day of like admin I've got to do.
yeah,
You know, you can wake up and essentially work on your passion.
yeah. And if you have a team of VAs that are trained up in there, they could basically potentially run the business for you. And then there was a member in Business Blueprint that he only spends, I think, like 2 or 4 hours a week working in his business because his VA team do the rest. So I was like,
Wow.
yeah, that's the life I aspire to.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, you know, that'd be a great place to be, wouldn't it? You know, either you can either start up another business, spend more time with the
Yeah,
family, jump on a board,
yeah,
whatever it is that excites you. And at the same time, you're helping people overseas as well who probably really need it.
yeah,
Yeah, I know we give Danielle you know, bonuses because she works hard, and I
yeah,
know those bonuses, whilst they, you know, it's not a huge amount of say cash for us, it's, you know, it's that helps her and her family and everyone tremendously. So it means you can actually give sort of tenfold as well. Um,
yeah. And as a business that wants to give back to the world, that's how you can give back. I'm looking into providing private health insurance to my VAs and a family member.
okay.
It costs peanuts to us. Like it might be like $1,000 for the whole year. I'm not sorry. For a VA and their family member, where locally it's a few grand or even $5,000 to $10,000. So
Yeah.
to them, it's just providing that above and beyond. And when you get a good VA, you want to keep them around. So I sweet the deal by these little things by going above and beyond.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So you mentioned that whole concept of warehouse and staff. I'm curious, what sort of equipment would you need to scale the business as well?
Yeah, at the moment I had a 17-liter double boiling machine made locally. A guy in Pakenham makes them in his garage. So basically, it just looks like a big urn, and it has a tap. So in between the walls is the distilled water, and that heats up and melts the wax. So when you turn the tap on, it's just like pulling a beer, into the jug. um, and then
My cup of
I've got,
tea.
yeah, and then like I use a thermometer because with candle making, it's a bit of a science to it. So you've got to let the wax, as it's melted at 80 degrees Celsius. So you've got to let it cool down to 60 degrees Celsius before you add in fragrance and any coloring that you use. And also there's a bit of maths involved with candle making as well, getting the right amount of wax compared to the percentage of fragrance you use. And so yeah, strong maths isn't my strong point. So I always get my niece, she's 24, to come check my work.
Right.
Because when I started, I nearly ordered like 200 kilos of wax, but I only needed like 100 kilos. So I just get my maths checked by my 24-year-old niece, which is funny. So it's a
Oh,
bit of a joke in
that's
our
great.
house.
What's that concept Bill Gates Bill Gates used to say, I always have someone around me that's more capable than me. So,
Yeah,
basically he's smarter and it runs the business. So,
yeah,
yeah, bring people in who are good at what they do.
yeah. So to expand into warehouse, I'll have to get bigger double boilers made. So like the guy in Pakenham makes 35 litre boilers. So I'd probably have to get a couple more of them and have them in the warehouse. I don't think I'll ever get to the stage where you know, got robotic machines and machines that do all the wax melting and the candle pouring, because I still like to keep it hand poured and have that human touch and that love and energy go into the candles. So I think that will never change. No matter how big I get, I'll just have to employ more staff and train them how to make candles. And yeah.
Yeah, and as you said, we mentioned when we were having a chat before, you said it's price wise, it's a little bit more premium, but I
Yeah.
think it's that whole concept of people will pay more when there's more value. So
Yeah, we use I use the highest quality wax. It's called Eco Soy Advanced Wax, and it has the formula of not like what we call frosting in the glass. So when you see candles in a clear glass and they look like they're frozen inside, that's called frosting. And some that pull away from the glass as well. So you see that kind of wet spot. So this wax prevents all that, and also has good cold and hot throw. So that's a candle making term. So cold throw is when you're smelling the candle before it's lit, and then the hot throw is when it's lit and it's throwing off the scent as the wax melts. So only the highest quality products go into my candles, and we only use wooden wicks because a lot of cotton wicks, give us soot. And so it's not very nice when you're blowing out the candle and there's soot going everywhere. So wooden wicks provide that luxury because they have that crackling sound of like a wood place fire, and also they don't soot or dirty the jar or anything like that. So that's a bit of a point of difference compared to everyone else. So,
there you go. So if you've got a family member, partner, whatever it is, who has a birthday coming up, check out Impact Candles. Look, my next question is even looking even bigger picture is, would you consider exporting?
Yeah, I'd love to export into the US market. So I have a couple of people in the US. There's one guy that lives in California that's a member of Business Blueprint, and so I'd love to try and find some stockists in the US to try and export to, as well as maybe the Philippines, the Asian market, and then Europe and UK. So basically, take over the world type of thing.
Yeah.
Because it was sad. My VA, Jason, said to me that she's not really into candles, and I said, "Wait, what?" Because you're working in a candle business, and she said, "But the candles that the normal people can afford over there are candles that you see in funeral homes and the churches. So they're not scented. And, there's those candles that are very religious looking. So only the rich can afford scented candles over in the Philippines. So I'm about to send her a sample of our product so she can enjoy having a scented candle in the house, because only the rich can enjoy that over there. So I was just like blown away by that, because in Australia we can, anyone, even someone on Centrelink can afford a scented candle,
Pretty affordable over here. Yeah, that's interesting. That things we take for granted, is probably a big thing for them. Big thing. So look, in saying that whole export, have you looked into how you would export yet? Government grants, anything like that yet, or early days? Where do you sit with that?
Yeah, a little bit early days. I have signed up for a DHL account. because I was looking at as a backup importing stock from China, because a lot of the Australian suppliers, they get their stuff from China, often run out. And I was looking at a bit of a cost-effective analysis as well. But at the moment, I'm staying local to get my stock, because with China, you have to get like 3,000 pieces in just for one size. And so I'm not ready for that yet. Maybe 6 to 12 months, I'll be able to expand that way. But with the DHL account, that I could move into the exporting into the US and using them as like the couriers. So they do it by flight. So it's pretty cost effective once you have an account. There's different rates and everything like that. So I just need to to do more research and look at the type of candle stores that are over in the US. Probably start looking in New York and LA. These are my two favorite places that I want to visit. Haven't been over the US yet, but and even into the gay market over there as well. You know, a lot of gay guys have disposable incomes. You know, some of them don't have families, although that's changing now. A lot of our gay guys are getting children. So, but yeah, mainly they've been the ones with the disposable income that, you know, don't take a second look at buying candles, because a lot of time they're seen as a luxury item. I'm trying to educate people into changing that point of view. You know, that everyone can benefit from a scented candle, especially with the power of smell. So, you know, you might smell lavender, and it might remind you of your grandma, you know, baking or whatever. So, yeah, definitely, this year I'll be looking into, exporting into the US market to start with. With Business Blueprint, I guess I've already exported into New Zealand, because some of the gifts that Dale bought went to New Zealand, and then we're going to remember in Singapore. So inadvertently, I've already started exporting, I guess, into those two countries. And the member from Singapore said to me that she has a lot of expat contacts over there that have businesses. So there could be a good starting point to try and get my product overseas.
I love it. So you're international business.
Yep.
And I love this whole concept of looking at ways to diversify the messaging as well. One of the things that we do as marketers is we look at that whole concept of where's the market currently flooded, and how can we, look at other ways to get a business like yours into the market. And I love this whole concept of, tapping into the gay market, tapping into, some overseas markets that traditionally don't get to experience candles, and other things like that whole memory experience, is there a market you can tap into on, that whole thing of memory, that whole concept of remembering some loved ones. There's so many different angles you can go into, and if you do have a business, specifically manufacturing business at the moment, where you think there is a red ocean at the moment where it's flooded, with Google searches, all that sort of stuff, have a look at different ways that you can message your products as well. For your business, there's the obvious ones like having messaging within charities or whatever, so they can then have your message going out on their websites that you are helping the cause that you're doing as well. It's not just jumping in and going, hey, buy a candle. So I love the fact that you're starting to diversify already. So that's a big tip. I think that's a big tip for people.
Dale said to me that a lot of people buy off the person now, and if their values align with their values of the company, they're more inclined to buy from that company than just the product. And I guess I've been forced to sort of think out of the box, because the candle industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it is very saturated in the market. I mean, it's very easy to start a candle business from home, but the difficult part is getting it out there with the right marketing and exposure. So I guess I'm lucky being a part of Business Blueprint because we get taught that already, and so I think I'm in the sort of a step ahead of any home candle making business already. 4 months into starting, and I won an award. So yeah, which was a bit of a shock, but
not many businesses that achieve that quickly.
Yeah. So with especially manufacturing, think outside of the box, out of the norm of what your industry is doing to market your product that you're manufacturing and get it out there in different ways, different messages. So
yeah. Now, there was one other question I was going to ask. Oh yeah, so there was something I was going to bring up, that whole concept of, do you have any stats around how much you said the candle industry is a multi-billion? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any stats around how much Australia produces?
Oh, no, but I can do a quick.
If not, we can put it in the show notes.
Yeah. No, I think for Joseph did a SEMrush. She's doing a SEMrush SEO report for keywords and stuff. I think when I've looked at it, I think there's it's into the millions of dollars of candle production that Australia is producing, especially through the big players like Glasshouse and Dusk. Dusk has multi stores around Australia, as well as their online presence. Glasshouse, what they do well is that they don't have a bricks and mortar store, but they have a lot of stockists stock their stuff, as well as their e-commerce store. So I think that's the type of way I'll be going, instead of, especially with the current pandemic, it's a bit risky to set up a bricks and mortar store at the moment, just in case we have multiple lockdowns again. But I think following sort of Glasshouse's sort of path in having a strong e-commerce store with stockists as well, to stock my product. And that's one thing when getting my own warehouse, I went to build out a section of that where I can have like a scent lab, so people can come in and make their own fragrances, and then we make the candle for them. So and then a special label. So they stole that idea from Red Hill company. They're in the Mornington Peninsula, and they manufacture their own scented candles. They have workshops and they have a scent lab. So I'm sort of copying their idea.
Yeah.
So,
now,
a
couple more topics I wanted to cover. The next one was that whole question around grants. I think when we discussed it, you said you'd looked into them, and it was either they didn't quite fit or it was a bit early days for you. Where do you sit with grants? I know there's a lot out there for manufacturing, but yeah.
Yeah, the ones I've seen the Australian government put out for manufacturing is you have to match what they're giving. So if they give 50,000, you have to be able to match 50,000. So I think that would suit a manufacturer that's already established and has a big plant and manufacturing, thousands of products a day type of thing. Where I sit is sort of early days. So I'm looking for startup type of business manufacturing grants, but I haven't found one yet, because I think with the COVID recovery, I think the Australian government is just focusing on the bigger manufacturing companies to sort of reboot the economy. So unfortunately for us little guys, I haven't found anything yet, but I'm still looking.
Yep, fair enough. And look, I guess bigger picture, part of the reason we have, or I created this podcast is to answer the question, will Australian manufacturing ever return to the glory days of the 60s? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think Australian manufacturing is here for a comeback. If anything's taught us through the pandemic is that Australians and Australian companies are really resilient, and we've seen that through manufacturers being able to pivot, and especially with the supply shortage from offshore, we've been able to manufacture stuff in the country to meet that demand. So I think it's going to be turbulent throughout this pandemic, but I think manufacturing could be in a comeback in Australia. I was reading this article from South Australian University, and one of the heads of the manufacturing sort of departments in the university was saying that one good thing that has come out of the crisis that governments have seen how quickly manufacturers have pivoted to meet market opportunity, and will increase the level of support from governments to invest in manufacturing and support innovation through collaborative grants, improve processes, better products, and also provide greater employment. So I think as we sort of come out of the pandemic, and start to recover as a country, I think Australia will rely on manufacturing to sort of boost that economy and jobs. So I think it's got a bit of a bright future ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, I sort of look at the US economy, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily a Trump supporter, but I think he sort of shifted the world's view on manufacturing and that whole concept of bringing everything back local again. So it'll be interesting to watch their economy as well, because I think we will follow, but partly follow suit. But you're right, like if you look at the 60s and 70s, Australia was built on manufacturing. They were obviously the peak. But there's still a lot of people out there that have some incredible knowledge. People love people don't necessarily want to sit in an office for the rest of their life. Manufacturing is a great space for people to get into more physical style work. There's a huge potential out there, and let's see what happens in the future.
Yeah, especially with home started businesses as well. I mean, candle making is a big boom, especially through COVID. But then you also have your carpentry and furniture makers and things like that throughout COVID have picked up their tools again because of lockdown. There's nothing else to do, so they started to make their own furniture and stuff, and that bespoke type of products. So yes, I think even though home manufacturing isn't as big, but it's a starting point. I think like myself, we can grow into bigger things, and eventually the warehouse and the multiple staff, and then more products as the demand grows. So I think it's quite an exciting time, I think.
Absolutely. Now we're almost out of time. Was there anything else you wanted to share, some advice for people out there who are maybe in the early days of their manufacturing business? Anything at all?
Yeah, if you're starting out, just get a good support network around you, and join networks like BX Networking, Reimaged, and Business Blueprint, because having a business coach and having that network of people is great for when you're starting out, because not only do you get different contacts in different industries, but you can also sell your product to them as well. So I think it's a good grounding, and also get your systems. Dale's all about systems, so get your business systems developed and cemented at the start, because once you grow, it's a bit hard to backtrack and go, oh, I need a system now on this type of task or this manufacturing sort of get your systems done at the start of your business, so then you have a backbone to work on when you grow, so then you're not running around with a chook without its head type of thing. So
great advice. We deal with CRM systems, so for us, seeing people trying to handle all different bits of information on spreadsheets or scraps of paper around the office only lasts so long. But you're absolutely right. Systems are the backbone, aren't they? Now, so look, I think that's a wrap for this podcast. Once again, Shane, thank you very, very much for coming on board. I'm certainly very excited to see how your business is evolving, and we'd love to have you on board as a guest in the future, just to see how far you've grown and where you've got to as well. So once again, thank you very, very much for coming on board.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. It's been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. And I think one of the things I'm hearing out of these podcasts is that we definitely need someone on board who focuses on grants for the manufacturing industry. So we'll get them on board as well. So if
that'd be great.
If you specialize in that, reach out to us, and you can help people like Shane, and we can get you on board the podcast as well. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.